Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. This is episode 95.
Welcome to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Ultimate Deck Podcast. Helping you keep your finger firmly pressed on the decking industry, the people in it, and the information you need to master the backyard. And now, host of the Ultimate Deck Podcast, Shane Chapman.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Shane Chapman and Bryce Wolfafnik is here today.
Wolfafnik.
With me. This isn't planned this way, but as it turned out, Wade did his own thing last week, and now I'm doing my own thing this week. And you're the constant.
I keep jumping in.
Yeah, so that's good. Now, I didn't listen to all of Wade's episode yet. I started listening to it yesterday. I don't know if there should be anything I should be taking shots back at if I missed and he was like firing shots left, right, and center, and then here's my chance, and I'm not going to take it.
Well, you took the phone holder. I mean, he was disappointed in that, although we did kind of surprise you with a last minute podcast.
Yeah, which was fine. I was off doing my own thing. So I did tune in because you guys had the Instagram Live, which everybody should tune into the Instagram Live and see this whole production as it happens instead of the super fine polished result that gets posted at the end. But I tuned in at the live because I happened to be in my hotel room while I was gone, while you guys were doing it still. And I watched and I was like, boy, this is like, there's Wade's struggling. He's like, he's not talking a lot. There's lots of dead air. He's whatever. But when I listened back to the start of it, he started really well.
He started hot.
The podcast for the first 10 minutes that I've listened to so far sounded great. He just petered out at the end. I think maybe he got tired. He's a little old guy.
He's got a little bit of ADHD. He would start like looking at the comments and slowly reading them in his head.
He forgets people aren't reading and thinking the way he's reading and thinking and doesn't share that. Yeah, for sure. That comes across. So, there's people in the Instagram Live again. Subscribe to our Instagram Live. We've talked about how to do this in the past. I don't remember how to do it. You go into the notifications thing. You got to turn on notifications for follow us, then turn on the notifications so you get an alert when we go live.
Yes.
Because in the background of today's Instagram picture here is this beautiful camo lever tool and a beautifuler hat from us. And we're giving these things away. But the problem is, by the time you hear this podcast, if all you do is listen to the podcast, it's been given.
That's right.
Done.
Gone.
If you're in the Instagram Live,
yes,
you still have a chance to get in there and I was going to say apply for it, but
send in your applications now.
Yeah. There's an application. You got to give us all your information. It's quite tedious. It's not worth it at all, in my opinion.
No,
but all you have to do for future giveaways, all we're asking you to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search up the Ultimate Deck Shop.
Hit the little bell too there.
Hit the bell for notifications and hit the subscribe button. Comment on a video, hashtag camo lever, and then you're in to win the camo lever.
Yeah, you don't even have to say anything else, but
that's it.
Hashtag camo lever.
That's all some people are doing. Some people are a little bit more courteous. They're like, they'll comment and give some good, valuable feedback or like give something. Other people are just like, hashtag camo lever.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're clearly busy.
Because they want a hat.
They just want
and the lever.
Yeah, so
or lever.
So you missed out on this one, but keep your eye out on our pages for other stuff that we might give away. I don't know. Giveaway stuff is fun.
I think there's
expensive, but
I saw something down the line.
Did you?
Someone messaged us the other day and they were like, hey, I'd really like to give away some stuff.
That's right. There will be another giveaway.
Maybe we should do it.
There will be another one. I forgot about that, Bryce.
Yeah, I don't want to
show up
right away here. Tell anybody.
So there you go. Now you'll have a chance. You listen to the podcast now. Now don't miss the bloody Instagram Live.
We should get a fairly large package together for episode 100.
Yeah, we should. We should go fishing with our vendors.
Go fish.
Put some stuff together for us. Colin from Windsor Park he just needs the hat. He doesn't care about the lever. He just wants the hat. I'm surprised we haven't gotten him a hat yet. Has that actually not happened?
Windsor Ply was Saskatoon?
No, Sherwood Park.
Sherwood Park.
Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
Is WRLA happening? If WRLA is WRLA, if that happens, Colin, we'll bring you a hat. Okay. We'll trade you for some lumber. He's got lumber. He's got lumber. See how much he actually values the hat.
Trade you some lumber?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just one or two lifts.
Like full lifts.
When you're posting left, right, and center about all these trucks you're getting, one or two lifts going missing shouldn't be a big deal, especially to don the best looking cap in the industry.
That's right.
So whatever. Ready?
Let's do it.
Just so you know, Mom, I'm working on something very, very big, very important. You're going to be very proud. It's the Worldly News. Somebody else wants a drinking bottle now. Here's this. I knew this was going to happen. We're going to put stuff in the background. People are like, I want that. And they're going to go shopping. But that's okay.
Yep.
Because they're tuning in. We should reward them with this. I mean, maybe she should just send us a message and we'll just send her a drinking bottle.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go.
Who was it?
The girl I can't.
Oh, no.
Pronounce her name. Vander Vigor.
Cool.
So.
Okay, cool. Okay, first news story of the week. It's kind of a weird one. Man cuts off ears and keeps them in a jar to make his head look more like a skull.
He wants to look like a skeleton, like the actual. What a weirdo.
That's a picture of him.
Oh boy, you should show that to the Instagram people. There you go. Here's another bonus of watching the Instagram. You get to look at what we're talking about. So he's earless.
And he keeps them in a jar. He spent
keeps them in a jar.
6,000 pounds to get them cut off.
Like, I thought it was going too far when people were stretching their ears, like big loops and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
to cut them right off, that's a whole other level of gangster. Right
That's
there.
crazy, right?
I don't think I would. Nope.
You wouldn't.
Not for me.
What if someone paid you $8,000 to cut your ears off?
Nope. You'd have to.
What
add
about
some
one
zeros.
ear?
1 ear for 8,000? No.
You get a prosthetic.
Nope. Not for $8,000.
Not for no amount of money.
I'm not saying no amount of money.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying the number is not 8,000. It might be like 800,000. Sure, I'd probably forgo an ear.
Even if it'd be under the headphones, you could just wear headphones all the time.
All the time. You just call me Mr. Beats.
Exactly.
You never see me without them. So how much do you think that would actually affect your hearing? Like they're there for a reason, I think. They're like little satellite dishes. They got to catch the sound waves.
Yeah.
So you don't have those now.
I'm not a doctor.
Now he can't even hear his own compliments. Hey, your head looks great. Huh?
He's deaf.
It's like, or maybe he did that on purpose so he doesn't hear all the comments that people give him that probably aren't pleasant.
I mean, he
looks like a straight up moron.
He's got a face
tattoo. He's got lots of face tattoos and holes in his lips and stuff, and like he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care.
Give no shits.
Number 2, Florida woman allegedly beats farting father.
Physically beats.
She was 40 years old. She lives with her 59-year-old father.
Oh, like her own. For some reason, I went right to like baby daddy, but
no, her own
dad.
And she was arrested for allegedly battering him because of his smelly emissions.
I don't know that I can find fault with her in this because I feel like if it got to this point, it must have been pretty bad. Like,
yeah,
he's got a stinky butt that he exercises his rights with far too often. It sounds like. But
I mean, that's assault.
Crazy
assault with a deadly
fart. Yeah,
deadly. It's like silent but deadly, right?
So, if you were married to her, right, how many beatings would you have experienced in your lifetime?
A ton.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Like, have you ever done? Okay, have you ever done the trick where you're both sitting in bed, you're laying down, ready to go to bed?
Do we have to put an R-rated thing? Like,
and then you fart, and then you shove their head under the covers.
The Dutch oven.
The Dutch oven.
I've never done the Dutch oven. I've never done that to somebody.
You might get a beating because of that.
Oh, I would hope you would get a beating. So you do that?
I've done it before. The trick is you say that you're going to spit in the air, and then they go under the covers. And then
I feel like you need to show. Why would you? And she believes you're like, hey, yo.
Oh, the first time.
Take cover. I'm going to spit in the air.
Yeah. I'm just going to be like, you'd be like, I wonder if I could get my spit on the ceiling or something like that.
You have a different household than I do.
Yeah, well.
We've not played those games. I've not spitting, not farting in bed. I mean, I'm not going to say we haven't farted in bed, but I'm not sure it's funnier the fact that you've Dutch ovened your wife or that you tricked her into it by telling you were going to spit in the air so she might want to take cover.
Yeah.
And then she Dutch ovened herself. That's actually
essentially
pretty genius. She's like, you asshole, you made me die. I didn't make you do nothing. You did that to you.
Exactly. Last story.
Yep.
Is Girl swept to sea on a giant inflatable unicorn.
Yeah. So here's a funny story. I recently was, and I'm supposed to be doing this today too, if the weather cooperates, but we were out on the old pontoon,
That's right.
Buffalo Pound Lake a few weeks ago. My in-laws have a pontoon boat and we go out there sometimes to do that. And we saw this. You
saw one of these giant inflatable.
Yep. There was nobody riding it though. This person had lost theirs and it was floating down the lake and it was gonzo. Like there was nobody chasing it. It was just out on a free range unicorn.
You didn't pick it up?
We did pick it up. So we circled around, we grabbed it, threw it in the boat, and we're like, wonder if we'll find this person at some point. And we cruised down the lake and we eventually came to this small little beach area and there's all these like, I don't know, millennials partying on the beach. And they see us come back and they just start cheering because they see this boat coming off in the distance with this unicorn on the back. And they're like, So anyways, we threw it over the edge and like there was quite a bit of weeds and stuff, so we couldn't get in super close. So we threw it over the edge, but then it started blowing away again. And then one of their guys like started swimming out and he's swimming through all this seaweed and like just
caught in all that stuff. Yeah.
To get his unicorn. He finally got it, and I've never seen a man look so tired before. But anyway, so she long gone, hey?
Little girl, 4 to 5 years old.
Oh, she was little.
She was really little.
Well, that's no good.
Waves picked up, took her out to sea, and a ferry drove by and picked her up.
So maybe I'm more of a helicopter parent than most then, because I wouldn't be letting my 4-year-old be on that without me being within like arm's distance.
Or a rope, perhaps.
You gotta be somewhat close.
Yeah.
Like what was the story here? Like they just all of a sudden they look up from reading their Instagram feed and the kid's gone.
Yeah.
So to see, like,
that's all it says. The currents, the currents picked up and pulled her out real fast.
Well, that's not a funny story. That's damn well depressing.
It is a little depressing. But the girl's safe and she was really calm apparently. But I always think about like all like the sharks and stuff that are in the ocean.
Yeah.
Whales.
There's that risk. But they wouldn't F with the unicorn.
You think? No, floating unicorn?
I don't think they would F with the unicorn.
Fair.
No.
That's
you
fair.
don't want to bite down on that horn, you know? I was just in Banff, speaking of unicorns. I was just in Banff. And if everybody hasn't seen that video, search Banff unicorn on YouTube.
Unicorn.
It's pretty funny.
Solid.
Hey, unicorn. That's it for the worldly news. And
That's it for the world. I have another one, but it's,
well, you can,
they're all depressing.
You can do it if you want.
They're all depressing.
If it's just depressing again, then I don't know if I need that. Premium Yard and Garages says, what's the supply of 4x6 posts like in Saskatchewan? Hard to get in Edmonton right now. We don't typically stock a 4x6, so I can't tell you on that. We have stock of 4x4s and 6x6s. Presumably it would be similar, but that's not we special order that dimension from our distributor down the street. So I don't know is the short answer to that. But Windsor Plywood Sherwood Park told him he's got 10 footers there. So look at that. On our Instagram Live, problems arise and get solved within our live chat.
Where's our commission?
Right. Okay. Anyway, I shouldn't get too cocky because I believe that Colin has given us hats.
Oh,
we have not given him hats.
That's true.
So anyway,
let's get to
this
it.
goes way faster when Wade's not here. We get to the meat right away.
Yeah, we're only 13 minutes in.
I always knew it was him dicking around.
Yeah.
I know people thought it was me. It's not. This is proof. Mm-hmm. A few weeks back. Nope, not even that long ago. A couple weeks back, we decided to do the 2020 round of heat tests on mostly our maintenance-free decking, but we did throw in some wood and some other elements in there too, just to see.
Yep.
We did these tests a couple years ago when it was 41 or 42 degrees Celsius, which is like 117 or something, 110, something super hot in Fahrenheit. And we learned a lot during that, and we shared all the information, and other people learned a lot and they loved it. And so we always figured we should probably redo these tests at some point because there were some brands that we have our hands on now that we didn't then, and 108-ish is what it was that day. So yeah, so it was toasty. So we did these tests. We didn't have decorators at that time, and that's one that's like becoming very well known. And so now we have it, and we thought, well, we should do it because we've also heard people say like, I feel like this decorator stuff isn't as hot to work with. So like, great, that's awesome. And then, but then we have nothing to back that up with other than hearsay. People
until
saying, like,
now.
Until now. And so we thought we'd bring this back. The other problem was the way we did those tests a couple of years ago is we laid out all the boards on top of basically lifts of lumber. that were tarped or whatever. So these boards sat flat on the lumber. And considering we were using an infrared thermometer to check the surface temp of the boards, I don't think that had an impact on the temperature of the boards. However, some people questioned whether it did.
Right.
They were questioning, like, that's not how a board would get installed. Maybe it's absorbing the ambient heat from the lumber below, the bag, whatever. It should have airflow around it like it would be on a deck. Fair enough.
Yep.
Was in no position to say like that wouldn't make a difference or it would. So this time around, we did it like that. We spanned these boards across roughly 16 inches on center, across two 4x4s, allowed some airflow, kept them spaced apart from each other, tried to keep it as like even level playing field as possible.
Yep.
And we did it all again.
A few times.
Now, the first day we did it before I left on holidays. And the reason we did it then, we rushed to do it because I checked the temperature outside in the forecast, the extended forecast, and it was not going to get very warm again.
No.
Like it was going to get okay. It was going to be like 80 degrees was like kind of what we were going to be in for the next couple of weeks. And once you hit October, like we're not cracking 100 in October.
I mean, surprise September if we hit it.
Right. And so we thought, whoa, we better get out there and do it now. And I think the temperature that day was about 74, 75 degrees.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit. So it wasn't a super hot day, but we did it because we thought we wouldn't have a chance. Finkelberry wonders if Wade and I aren't going to arm wrestle. Can I and Bruce?
Who's Bruce?
I don't know, but I don't want to arm wrestle a guy named Bruce.
And Bruce sounds like a big guy.
I already lose. Quigley Cabral's got his notepad ready. He's ready for this stuff. We're going to share this too, but also take notes. I think that'd be fun.
Take notes.
Now, the reason we do this is because the reason we did it the first time was because a lot of people, that's one of the top questions customers ask when they come in is like, my neighbor has a deck. It gets really hot. Is there something that doesn't get really hot? And for the longest time, it was like, no, they all get pretty hot.
Yeah.
Now there are some brands out there that would use the word cool within their marketing terminology. And probably our first run in with that was Clubhouse back circa 2000, let's call it 15, 16, where their boards had a lot of different features. And one of them was the cool pigment technology. Can I just vent for a second on that word?
That's a lot
technology?
of fancy words.
It is a lot of fancy words. I hate the overuse of the word technology in things that aren't technological. Laundry soap.
Yes.
The F are you talking about technology in soap?
Or super wash technology.
Oh my God. It's got cyber beads. What are you talking about? It's got cyber beads. What the hell is a cyber bead? Why is that technology? To me, technology, I don't even know how to define it. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I don't know what the term technology means. But when I think technology, I think like electronic like something gadgety or whatever. Right. Not liquid dish soap. Like, come on.
It's like a formula change. That's not technology.
Yeah, maybe there's
advanced formula.
Know. Like, what do you do? Like, same as shampoo. It's like, oh, it's got scalp massager bead technology. What?
It's called your fingers.
Yeah. Oh, your fingernails? Yeah, okay. I got that technology too built right in.
You mean you don't just pour it on your head?
Yeah. Anyway, so here we are, opened a store 5 years ago, got this Clubhouse product, cool pigment. So people are asking us before we did this test, do I need to stay cooler? And our response was, well, Clubhouse has cool pigment technology. It sounds like it cools, stays cooler, I guess. But then you go walk on some decks and you're like, this isn't any cooler. And
so it's still hot. Hot's hot.
Right. And then when we did our test, we found out the Clubhouse was like, it all depends on the color. The dark Clubhouse is one of the hottest ones out there. Yeah. So much for the cool pigment. Then a couple years ago, we have Moisture Shield come out with Cool Deck technology.
Cool Deck.
With massaging scalp beads.
All they do is put sunglasses on the boards.
Sunglasses on the boards, yeah. And they've got little foot massagers built into the boards now.
That would be worth it. That's technology.
Your feet might be hot, but they'll be relaxed.
Exactly. Just lay down for a shiatsu massage.
Yeah. So we did the test.
Yep.
The test basically dispelled any marketing gimmicks that are out there. It was like anybody who's claiming the boards are cool was lying. Turned out. Were there some differences? Like for the example, like the one that people are questioning the most now is Moisture Shield's Cool Deck products. And because some people are out there saying like they stay cooler and other people are like, no, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. Our tests back then showed that yes, they did stay cooler, less hot, maybe is a good word, than some of the other products, but it wasn't to the degree that people are led to believe.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to the degree that you feel the boards at a trade show under a heat lamp where it's like very obvious and they shoot with the heat gun. And it's like, oh yeah, that one's really hot. This AZEK board's really hot. This Trex board's really hot. This Moisture one's just warm.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done it. I've felt it. I've looked at it. I've done it at numerous trade shows. And the first time I ever saw it, I was like, that is amazing. And I remember standing there talking to the guys like, this is huge.
Because it's 30%. That's
Like
their claim, right?
We are very interested in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30%. Then light colors. We have to add that in there. So anyways, we did this test. Moisture Shield Cool Deck did perform well. It in our test, it wasn't anywhere near the 30%, but it was it was the coolest composite by points of a degree.
Yep.
So fast forward, people don't want to believe the data we pulled. Fine. You've got your scientific reasons, I guess, to not believe what we pulled. Fine. But we'll do it again and we'll make it more even and we'll test the Moisture Shield again and we'll test the Clubhouse and we'll test everything that we have our hands on.
Yep. And so we tested it differently this time. Last time, I believe you guys you left the boards out and then took a temperature over, let them cook, and then took a few temperatures to average, right?
We put them out first thing in the morning. We didn't test them until the mid-afternoon when it was like the hottest part of the day, just scorching. So they had all gotten up to their max temp before we started.
Yeah.
What you're saying is this time we shot the temperatures inside ambient where they all were, and they were all the same temperature.
They were all the
inside.
same temperature.
Took them outside, shot them even more times we did the previous year because last time it was 3 times. I think the first day we did it, we shot it like 7 rounds or something like that. Second day you did it, you shot it 4 times. 4 times. So we have a whole bunch of data here now. Now, the reason we ended up going back and doing it again is because the extended forecast was horrendously inaccurate.
It was horrible.
It was not supposed to get warmer while I was on holidays than about 24 to 25 degrees, which is probably about 70, 75 degrees. That's as hot as it was supposed to get the week I was gone. Turns out it got to 100.
Got to...
It was 36 pretty much the whole week, which is like high 90s, 100 degrees. So it was way hotter than the week we did before. So Bryce took it upon himself to come back to the store, pull all the boards out again, and do it all over again. The other thing with the second time we did it, as the skies were clear.
It was clear all
The first day we did it, we were battling with rolling cloud cover that would come in. And so we were trying to pick our times and be like, okay, it's going to be clear for the next 10 minutes. Shoot them all now while the sun's out. Cloud comes over, and if the cloud come over in the middle of a test, we scrap that test. It was like, Kate, cancel that, throw that page out. The sun has to be consistently beating on these things. So anyways, we're today going to use the second numbers, A, because it was a hotter day.
Yep.
B, because you feel they're more accurate. You were involved in both.
They're much more accurate.
And more accurate because the sun was consistently beating on them. There's no shadows, no cloud cover, not as much wind or breeze or anything like that.
And I also set them up better the second way, because the first way we did it, you were shooting them.
Oh, blame it on me.
No, you were shooting them and they were all out of order in my book.
Gotcha.
Right? So the times are bang on this time.
Perfect. Okay. So you took these out there, you lined them up at about like 155, I think the time was.
Yep.
They came out of the showroom at just under 17 degrees Celsius, which is in Fahrenheit, I don't know, but like 60.
It's cold.
They were nice and cool. Like must have been blasting the air conditioner that day. Got them outside, and the temperatures ranged from, you have to convert these.
Okay.
During the day, from the first test to the last test, you went from 32.5 to 34 degrees that day, right?
So from 90 to
96, let's say.
What was it? What was the last one?
34.
30. No, it was 36.
Oh, was it 36?
Yeah. 96.
So
97.
It ranged from 90 to 96 during these 4 tests that we shot. So it was a hot day. Direct sun. Here we go.
In about an hour and a half.
I want to hear from the Instagram people that are in here. What do you think? Who do you think's boards? So we tested Trex, TimberTech, Fiberon, Wolf, Decorators, Moisture Shield, New Tech Wood, and then some other stuff like Versatex PVC, just some outliers just to see what they would do. Regal Quick Step, fiberglass quick steps, some wood like bare cedar, treated, oiled cedar, dark oiled cedar, hardwoods. We did them all. But as far as the brands and the composites, I wonder if people in the Instagram might have a guess as to whose board, or if they're really well versed in stuff, which color came out on top and which one lost. Because we brought samples here today of the top 3.
We got samples.
Top 3 and the bottom 3.
Top 3 and the bottom 3.
You can't see this on a podcast. You got to be in the Instagram Live. So without further ado, let's get after it. The coolest, and this is no surprise, Mitcon Decks has thrown a guess in here, and this is the obvious one. Obviously, Versatex was the coolest. It's pure white.
Before we get going, are there any other deck companies that make the claim that they have cool deck boards? So we got Moisture Shield, right?
I don't think anybody does it so formally as Moisture Shield. So there are other ones that claim that, because we've got holes in the middle of our boards, that it helps ventilate and stay cooler. Mm-hmm. I don't know that anybody's as loud about it. But yeah.
Okay.
Now, like I said, there's contractors out there that say Decorators seems to feel like it's the coolest, and Decorators I know is working on some testing to verify if there actually is a difference, whatever, and so that's not out. But these results are going to tell you how that's going to end for them.
I expected the PVC to be among the coolest right off the bat.
Lavadier Builders thinks TimberTech for the coolest. That's a good guess.
TimberTech.
Why do you think the PVCs would be coolest?
Because of they're less dense.
Okay. And so that's a common thing out there that people say the PVCs will dissipate heat faster. Mm-hmm. They may get as hot in direct sunlight, but when they get into shade or has some water splash on them, they cool off. The surface temperature still gets hot.
Right.
The core of the board doesn't absorb the heat because it's not as dense. And so I feel like I've experienced that, but we tested some of that too. And we're not going to talk about that today.
Not today.
You figure that maybe isn't as much the case. So, okay. So, Premium Yard Design says the white colors would be the coolest regardless of the brand. That's, yep. That probably is fairly accurate. And Simcoe says we got mixed results for Decorators colors. Okay. So should we get right to it? Should we do the top three? Let's do the top three. Let's drum roll this, please. I don't know. What does this button do? Close enough.
I feel like we should be pulling out the hottest boards.
Do you want to do the hottest first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
They're no surprise.
The hottest first. So let's do the third hottest, most tested board. So we're going to end with the hottest. The third hottest coming in, launched in 2019 by Decorators, Kaya of the Voyage line. Colors, wild. People absolutely love this color. It's so beautiful, but it gets hot.
It gets really hot.
It gets hot. Now, not super surprising. It is a dark brown. However, I believe that there's other colors that were in our test that are darker that weren't as hot. So it's like, it's mostly color, but it's also maybe something else going on there. So Decorators Voyage Kaya unfortunately took the third most hottest board that we tested. Now, people might be wondering, I didn't count this. How many did we actually test? Can you talk for a minute and I'll count? I don't want to count these four people, but I want to know how many things we tested.
So we tested a ton of boards, and I was like super surprised while we were testing with all of the different variance in the temperatures that we hit. Yeah, I don't know. They were all pretty surprising. One thing that I did find out was that the average skin burn temperature, so what they say your skin will burn at if you touch it, is about 71 degrees Celsius or 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
61. That's how many boards we tested.
We did 61 boards.
What'd you say for burn skin? 160?
Yeah, 160. And that's on metal. That's what I mean. So like looking at some of these, you're like, well, I'd like to see what like the plastic burn, like where it'll burn your skin. But I walked on a few of these boards at their hottest temperatures and
toasty.
I definitely singed some skin off the bottoms of my feet.
Sound like a poor little puppy.
Yeah. No one was helping me.
No. Tell Bryce to shut up. We can hear him in here. So Mike says also he was surprised with that one as well. He must have had similar results, that it got quite warm on that one, and he was surprised that was. I wouldn't have guessed that would have been one of the hottest boards.
It's hard to.
I would have guessed that would have been like mid to high, but not one of the highest.
Like by the color, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got light. It's dark.
Yeah. So there could be a bit of that too, right? Like we should check the temperatures and see, but based on the average temp, it was the third hottest. But it's got black streaks in it, and it's got lighter brown as the base color. So it could make a difference, maybe kind of where you shot with the laser too, but we shot a few times and like not always the same spot. So I think we probably got a good average out of it. So, but surprisingly quite warm. So beautiful color, many benefits to that board, but temperature, not one of them.
Not one of them.
Number 2 most hottest board of the day.
Here it comes.
Drum roll, please. Let's give me a drum roll. Now, does anybody recognize that board on the Instagram Live? There's a badge on it, and this one did test. No, that's a different color on the backside.
Oh, well.
That's going to give it away whose it is. This one in our test from a couple years ago was also one of the hottest. It was number 2 hottest then too, I recall.
And this is the one you have on your deck.
I have some of that on my deck. Yeah. Not my whole deck. This is Clubhouse Ironwood.
Ironwood.
So this is a PVC product. I should mention before
hot.
too that the Kaya just sounds like it came out of a stoked fire. Kaya is a mineral-based composite. So it is a composite, but with no wood fiber. It's got minerals, limestone-ish dust in it as a filler. This is a pure PVC, so with an acrylic cap. And so this is one of those ones where it may cool off faster once it gets out of the sun, but in direct sunlight, that dark gray color, not helping anybody's feet. Mm-hmm. It gets warm.
I wonder if the embossing has anything to do with them too. I've noticed that both the Decorators and the Clubhouse embossing is fairly shallow.
It might, like, who knows, right? Like if the angle of the sun's rays, like on deeper embossed boards where the light may kind of get refracted in multiple directions, maybe that absorbs less heat. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I haven't noticed that correlation. Now the ones that we just looked at are both fairly flat. And actually, the next one is also fairly flat too. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I don't know where. So a couple of years ago, one of the hottest ones was Fiberon Burnt Umber, and that didn't.
It fell in the middle. There it is.
It got hot, but it's not one of the top ones this year. Interesting. Now, 2 of the ones that are the hottest though weren't tested the first time around, so it could be part of it too. Kaya. So Clubhouse Ironwood, I do have that one on my deck. I've got that, but I've also got Fiberon Cottage as most of the deck. I can for sure tell the difference between the two when I'm on my deck on a hot day. Like the dark gray to my hand is much hotter than the light gray of the Cottage on there.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
you put this where you don't want people to stand in the summer.
Right. It's like it's in front of the barbecue, so they know to stay out of my zone.
Exactly. You got shoes?
Yeah.
You can stand here.
Yeah. If you've walked a mile in my shoes, you can queue on my BB. I don't know what that means.
Your BV.
Yeah. Now, here we go. This needs an actual drum roll.
You're trying.
Oh, this kills me. This kills me because it's Decorators again. Come on. We had such faith that these guys are going to pull out some cool numbers. We thought people were saying this stuff stays cooler.
I mean, it's blue.
It's very, very dark blue. So again, it comes down to a color play. This is Dark Slate from Decorators. Now, to be fair to Decorators, we took the hottest and the darkest, the darkest and the lightest from each line of every brand. Mm-hmm. And we pulled 2 of theirs because Dark Slate kind of lives in its own category of boards. So we maybe unfairly took 2 dark boards from them, but as it turns out, they turned out to be 2 of the most hottest.
Yeah. I mean, it gave 60 other boards, right?
It's not 60 other boards. Yeah.
It's not like we were being unfair and only tested 5 boards.
Nope. So now here's the good news about Dark Slate. You would never do your whole deck in Dark Slate. It's not available in the dimensions would it really make that feasible.
Couldn't do it.
It's only released as a picture frame board. It's just released in 21-foot lengths with a single side groove now. It's only meant to be done as a picture frame. So most commonly, this board's going to be underneath your railing. You're not going to step on it. It's not going to be somewhere you walk. You might do your stairs in it. So it may be on your stairs, but it's not going to be on your deck like these other boards would be. So
do every other stair.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Put this down and then cover it with tempered glass.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine?
That would help. Simcoe Decks with his tests on Deckers Heats found the same thing, that this was the hot one, and figured that would be the case. Yeah, hard, like if you took the 61 boards we had and said pick the 3 hottest, this probably would have been in my 3 for color alone, and so would Ironwood. So would Ironwood.
Yeah.
But the other one I probably would have picked would have been like Wolf Onyx or something, because it's dark. It's just like Ironwood, but it wasn't in the top 3. It was probably close, but
I didn't even hit the top.
We
5?
just chose the top 3. It was there. It was it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was a 5th hottest one. So it wasn't that far behind. But there is a one in there that I was very surprised by from Wolf, but we'll maybe chat about that later. Now, everybody's like, that's interesting. That's cool. That
they're hot.
That's cool that they're hottest boards, but nobody wants to buy the hottest ones.
So what was the temperature of the hottest board?
Oh, I should get into that too, right?
Right. We're at roughly 160 degrees Fahrenheit will burn your little tootsies.
The average temperature outside when we did this, average temperature outside would have been about 93, 94. Mm-hmm. The average temperature of these boards that we just mentioned here, the Kaya, which was the 3rd hottest, averaged at 154.5 degrees.
That's close.
The Clubhouse Ironwood was 154.9, so pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. And the Decorators Dark Slate was 157.5, with a high temperature of the day at 161.4.
And that was the Dark Slate.
Why that's relevant is you said the 160 is where, with certain materials, at least metals, is where it could actually burn your skin.
Yep.
So, will Dark Slate burn your skin? I don't know. I don't know why they say metal. Maybe because it's smooth and it's not porous. Maybe the fact that it's got some texture on that would prevent you from burning because it's not flat to flat or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But the bottom line is at 161 degrees, that stuff is freaking hot.
Yeah, I don't think you can, I wouldn't stand on it. We should do that test.
Yes, to be fair, I think you could
stand on
it. You could walk across most of these even at their hottest point. Yeah. Standing still on them is going to be a challenge. Mm-hmm. Lavalier Builders wonders if we're going to post the list. Yes, we've got all this data. We have to comb through it a bit more. We will be posting little tidbits of data here and there. There's a ton of data. It's a big spreadsheet. Like I said, there's 61 boards. There's 11 test intervals. There was 2 days. There's Celsius and Fahrenheit. There's maxes and averages and mins and all the stuff that we've pulled.
And graphs.
And then there's heat up and cool down rates that we've tested too. We need to dig into that too, but we will post bits and pieces as we unwrap it all.
Because there's a lot. It's Christmas.
So I've always told people that no matter, the boards are going to get about 1.5 times their outdoor temperature is the board temperature, but 1.5 times. So that plays out with these ones here, because we're going to say it was about 94, 1.5 times is going to be about 145-ish. And these are testing out in the 150s.
Yep.
And so the average board is going to be about 1.5 times. So I like that. I always told people it's between 1.5 and 1.7. These would be closer to the 1.7.
1.7
degrees hotter. And it, in our tests again, it stayed true
and
for the most part. The cooler ones will be cooler.
Yeah, and it all really depends, the wind and the shade from the clouds made a huge difference the first day.
That's why we kind of ditched those first day results, because the second the clouds would roll over, the temperatures would drop in these things very fast. Yep. And that was across composites, PVCs, you name it. They would all dive right away as soon as the sun got off them. So clearly the sun beating down on them and them reflecting that heat and light is an active process. As soon as it goes away, it does drop quite a bit right away. But anyway, comment here from Premium Yards and Garages says, I am so into watching these results. I just forget about the biscuits I had in the oven. Breakfast is ruined and the smoke alarms are going off. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. It's this is the World Cup.
Right. You should have put those biscuits on the Dark Slate board. Hey?
Yeah.
Could have cooked them on there.
Are we going to cook eggs on your deck?
We're going to cook eggs on your deck. Okay, now before we dive into the meat of this stuff, let's just get right to the top 3 performers of the day. That day. Oh, yeah, good use of the dum-dums. Yeah, you can't. I tried that. I tried to drum roll. It doesn't really work drum rolling.
What's this one do?
That's just so you know, Mom. That's the intro. Just so you know, Mom.
Oh, it doesn't turn off.
Okay, top 3 boards. Now, I'm going to give you the brands. For the Instagram people, I'm going to give you the brands right now. Fiberon, TimberTech, Moisture Shield.
Yes.
You tell me the order that you think they are in as far as the coolest versus second coolest versus third coolest. And if you have a stab at the color from each of those, post that on there as well. I want to give these guys a chance to make some guesses before we actually go break the news.
Before we get there.
Now, while we're waiting for them to chime in with some of their feedback, I want to talk about the 4th hottest and the 5th hottest that we tested. They both came from Wolf. You're sorry?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're both from Wolf. feel like
Yeah.
the only two wolf boards we tested.
So this is confusing to me because, and I actually phoned Mark Fisher just about half hour before we did this podcast, see if I could get a hold of him, see if there's a reasoning for this, because I feel like there actually might be. I feel like maybe in my past, they told me about something they were doing with the dark colors, but I don't know. I can't say that for sure. That's why I wanted to confirm it. Now, we tested, we did not test the Seaside Collection, which technically would be their lightest. Like those are very light, solid colors. We only tested the Tropical Collection and we chose Cypress as the light color, which is like a light goldeny yellow color. Yep. Similar to like a weathered teak from Azek, and Wolf Onyx, which is a dark gray, similar to Clubhouse Ironwood. Now, those were the 4th and 5th hottest, but not in the order you'd expect. The Wolf Onyx was actually a degree, not even a degree, 0.4 degrees cooler than the light yellow color.
Yeah.
So the whole hypothesis about the colors being the primary driver in this thing played out almost perfectly everywhere.
I would say on average, go for the lighter colors if you want a cool deck.
Right. But here it didn't. The lighter color they were basically the same temperature. This was, I would say this is within an error of margin. 150.6 for Onyx and 151 for Cypress. Close enough that probably you could call it the same. But why? Why is the light color the same temperature as a dark color? I also noticed this in some of the other ones too, I think. In the new Fiberon Promenade line and even the Paramount, I think there wasn't a big gap between the light colors and the dark colors, if I recall correctly. If I go to my...
No, they were very similar too.
If I go to my the sorted sheet by brand and I look at this, Weathered Cliff was 146.3, and that's the dark one, and Shaded K was 144.9. So again, there's only a degree, like 1.4 degrees difference between the dark and the light on that, which is strange to me.
Those ones did some interesting things if you get more into like the minute by minute data, not minute by minute.
Okay.
Like the spread.
Yeah.
Like the Promenade, they got real hot right away, dipped down 15 minutes later and kind of evened back out.
Interesting.
Which I thought was weird.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a couple guesses here. Cool. Oh, they're from the same guy.
Cape Cod Gray.
Jay Rodman says that he thinks Cape Cod Gray would be the coolest. Now, Cape Cod Gray was in the tests. It was in there. And it's one of the only uncapped composites that we tested. And for reason of it being uncapped, we did expect it to perform well because it's not just a pure, shiny, smooth plastic surface. There is a porous nature to it. So we did think that would perform well. And then I don't know if this is a change in his guess or if he's guessing multiple things, but he then says the cool deck technology he thought would be in there. Yeah. So good guesses from Jay Rodman.
Jay Rodman.
And now let's get to it.
Let's get
now, I mentioned on my deck, I have Clubhouse Ironwood.
Is this?
And
did you do it on purpose?
Feeling pretty proud right about now.
Yeah, that's right.
Made a good choice back in the day.
Yeah. Didn't even know.
Didn't know? Time to show. Fiberon Cottage, Good Life. This board came in at the 3rd coolest board. I don't like even using the word coolest. The 3rd least hot board. Least hot. Now, not super surprising. It's a nice light gray, but it's similar. Like a lot of people have light grays like this. TimberTech's got one. Trex has one. That's not true. Yeah, Trex has in Pebble Gray, and we did test Pebble Gray. Yeah. But it performed better than other ones at that same color. So there you go. Fiberon Good Life, which is a huge seller. If you're looking for something that's a good price point and stays less hot than some of the other ones, Cottage performed quite well. What did we have it come in at here, Bryce? Cottage ended up at, I'm in the brands one. Yeah. Cottage ended up at 124.8 degrees on a 94 degree average. 124.8. So that's not bad.
No, I mean, that's 40 degrees.
If you're in Phoenix, you're hitting some days like that. That's just that hot outside.
Yep.
So that's not, I was going to say it's not killing anybody, but like some people have probably perished in those temperatures, but, so not bad, but a stark difference from the hottest colors, which we talked about here at 155-ish on average, like kind of the bottom 3.
Yep.
This is a full 30 degrees cooler.
Yeah. 30.
So that's not insignificant.
And it's also kind of leaning into that like deeper embossing look that we're theorizing about.
It could be, mind you, the next one here doesn't have that deep, but it does have a angled surface, I'll say. Not rough or deep, but it's got like lots of different angles and curves and stuff. So, Fibron College, number 3, performing board. Great news for the Fibron folks. That's a win in their books.
That's a win.
Now, number 2. Did the wood products get tested, says Simcoe? Yes, we did test some wood products. We tested Tanatone brown pressure treated. We tested bare cedar. We tested clear oiled cedar. We tested dark oiled cedar. We tested red Blau Batu hardwood. We tested bamboo hardwood.
Bamboo got hot.
I believe that was all the wood that we tested, correct?
Yep.
Jay Rondeman's asking Fahrenheit or Celsius. Jesus H, I hope these are Fahrenheit numbers.
We're all in Fahrenheit.
We're doing it in Fahrenheit. We have the data in both. Obviously, it's easy to turn that back and forth. We actually shot the data in Celsius the one day, and then the other day we kind of mixed and matched it. But these are in Fahrenheit numbers. Why? Because 70% of our audience is from the United States, and Fahrenheit can be a little bit more accurate, like without reading a bunch of decimal places. And we just felt like Canadians were smart enough to make the conversion, and Americans were not.
Shit. 70% of our audience.
I was supposed to just think that and not say it. But for real though. Oh, you missed it. For real though, the average Canadian can probably roughly determine what 30 degrees Celsius is in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
But this is not a dig. The average American is not going to know what 90 degrees Fahrenheit is in Celsius.
Yes.
Nobody's making that conversion.
Number 2.
When we post them, we'll post both. Number 2, here we go. Here's the back of the board. I'm just tricky here first. So you can't tell.
It says the name.
Yeah. This is whitewash cedar from TimberTech. Now look at that board. It's the lightest color we tested outside of the Versatex PVC, which is not a decking product. So this is the lightest color decking product that we tested. It's not pure white. It's kind of a creamy white with some gray streaking to it. But clearly the color comes into play quite a bit here. This is going to reflect a lot of heat, a lot of light. So the questions coming up here now, Lavadier says 30, and then Rodman says Fahrenheit or Celsius. It was 30 degrees Fahrenheit was the difference, if that's what we're asking.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I don't know what 30 degrees Fahrenheit is though in Celsius.
Well,
you should look that up real quick. See what the actual difference is in it'd be pretty damn close to what?
30 degrees is 30. Oh, Fahrenheit. Sorry.
Yeah, you're going.
It was like 86.
No. Here we go. We're just going to look this up and see so we can give our Canadian folks. Oh, that's not making sense.
Nope.
We got to convert that a different way. We'll get back to you on that because, of course, 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius, but there was a difference. Obviously, it's not. Anyway, what you need to do is go from the 155 Fahrenheit, see what that is in Celsius, and then go to 125 Fahrenheit and see what the difference is.
So we're at 68 is 155 to 125.
Yeah. 68.
Yeah. It's 46.
First time.
Yeah.
So 22 degrees Celsius difference. That's a decent jump right there. Decent jump.
I guess it wouldn't be equal throughout. Like there's no like direct, anyways.
I have no idea what the hell you're trying to say. Anyway, whitewash cedar, whiteboard. Good, nice looking color. Now we've left nothing to the imagination because we gave away the board brands when we started.
Did anybody remember?
The brand that hasn't been mentioned yet. Premium Yard and Garages. I've been telling people for a long time that if heat is your big concern, you're better off picking light color than any particular brand. That's correct.
Yes.
Simcoe Dex says, how much did Camo pay to put the lever in the back? We put that there because we're giving it away.
Yeah.
But they did send it to us to make videos with. And now we've made videos with it. And now we're going to give it away. So they didn't pay anything, but they sent it to us. We didn't pay for it.
We won an Oscar for that Deck Shop Shorts.
Giving it away. We did win an Oscar for that one. People don't know that yet, though.
Sorry.
Okay. Maybe not a surprise to some, maybe a surprise to other. The number one coolest composite board. This is not the coolest because the Versatex was the coolest technically that we tested. This is the coolest decking product.
Yep.
not wood even, we're just comparing the maintenance free stuff right now, is the Moisture Shield Cool Deck.
Ba, ba, ba.
Ba, ba, ba. There it is in the mochaccino color. I'm not super surprised by this. It tested very well in our first round a couple of years ago. It won that one too, but so I wasn't surprised.
Tested well this time too.
And yeah, not surprised by it. The big asterisk to this always is it as cool as they claim? And I'm going to stick with my guns because we've now done 3 days of testing. What do we do now? It's 14 time, like intervals, different temperatures of day, blah, 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 blah. No, I don't think it gets as cool as they say it does. They claim 30% cooler than light colors. Now, my own caveat to what I just said is there's not a lot of colors that we tested that are similar in color to this, though.
No.
This is a very weird color. It's like a beigey gray thing with some white, like, I don't know, like embossing. It's strange. There's nothing that's really like it. Now, I've already decided and I've already picked the boards off the wall today to go put this outside with what I think is the closest in color to it, which is like Decorator's Costa maybe, or like Trex Foggy Wharf. There's some that I'm trying to find that are about the same color, or at least the same like darkness of color, like depth of color, to see how it performs against those. Because the temperature of this, so I didn't say the whitewash cedar. The whitewash cedar was 119.7. So the Good Life cartridge was 124.8. The TimberTech whitewash cedar is 119.7. And the Moisture Shield Cool Deck was 119.6.
So they were like, they were neck and neck.
We could have shot one more interval and it might have flipped on us there. But the high temp on both was exactly the same. The hottest they both got was 123.4. It's just that the Moisture Shield Cool Deck on the lowest temp we shot that day was 115.2 and the whitewash cedar is 116.2. But these are virtually identical as far as the temperatures go on these two colors. The difference being that the whitewash cedar is a lighter color, and that's not Moisture Shield's claim that it stays 30% cooler than everything out there. It's 30% cooler than like colors.
Like, not light.
Now, I don't know, like, I don't know if you could maybe call like Fibron Chai maybe would be a similar kind of depth of color maybe, and it rated out at 133.8. So it was 13 degrees cooler Fahrenheit than that one. Bungalow would be a much darker color, and it was 135. So I'm going to stick to saying it's not 30%. It is something.
It's cool. I mean, it stayed as cool as some of the
maybe 10%.
Then cedar. It stayed as cool as no oiled cedar.
No, yeah, I think you're bang on that.
There, right?
Oh, we have it up there. Yeah, of course. So it's no cedar without any oil on it was 120. And so it was basically the same temperature as wood. As bare wood. So there's that.
It's not bad.
We got some comments here again. Let's get back into here. Oh boy. Camo used a video of my 5-year-old son using their clips in their Instagram this morning. Pretty cool. I saw that. I actually wanted to share that too, because I thought it was a cute little video and showed like how easy that stuff is to use. Where do we go now? It's Premium Yards and Garages says it's darker than I was expecting. Is he talking about his biscuits still? I don't know what he's talking about.
They got a little burnt.
Maybe whitewash cedar. Or he's talking about the mochaccino. It's darker than he was expecting maybe. Yeah, okay. And then we got Vinyl Guy says, yeah, but it looks like a cartoon. That embossing is so weird. I would say that's the general consensus from most people I talk to is like, yeah, it might stay a little bit cooler, but it's like, I've heard some people say it looks like Play-Doh. I've heard somebody else say, what did they say? It looks like it came from something. Anyways, people aren't a huge fan of how it looks.
It's not as pleasing to the eyes aesthetically.
No, I agree that it's a little bit, I don't know, like soft, weird. Like, I don't know. They're weird. They're definitely different looking. Now, the other Vision Cool Deck color we tested, we also did test. It's a darker color. And where did that end up, Bryce?
Earth tone. Oh, no.
No, we need to go to, it didn't perform nearly as well. There it is.
Smoky gray.
Yeah. Smoky gray. That's the one. And so 139.6. So on the other end, when you get the colors get darker, it gets quite warm. So, and I would say arguably that color, like it's not as dark as the ones that were the hottest, not quite that dark. It's kind of more of like a mid to dark gray, but it has that weird white streaking through it again.
Yeah. Like the
Boy, I don't know,
same.
like maybe similar to like a Decorator's Sierra or something. And where did that land? Decorator's Sierra. I'll have to find that afterwards. I don't. I can go to my organized sheets here.
It's Summit.
Did we not do? Oh, we didn't do Sierra. Sorry, we did Kaya instead. So not a good one. Maybe Dusk at 144, so 139. Anyway, yes, Moisture Shield Cool Deck stays a little bit cooler than it did if it didn't have the technology in it, I think. Mm-hmm. I would say we'll test these boards again today with light colors. It looks like maybe like 10% cooler.
So what's the Moisture Shield against itself uncapped?
Oh, so yeah,
Rough,
okay.
like rough.
So we did test Moisture Shield Cool Deck in the Mochaccino and the Smoky Gray. And then we also tested the Cathedral Stone and Sandstone. Is that right? Colors as well that are from the same line without the Cool Deck. And I would say like, they're pretty close. Like the Cool Deck, Mochaccino and Sandstone are like, there's a 9 degree difference. I'd have to bring that board up here to show people what the color difference is though. So like, I believe that I don't think they're completely full of shit. I think there is something happening in here that keeps these coolers. Like if it didn't have the technology in it, I'm sure this board would rate higher. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying people don't get your hopes up in here. It's like 30% cooler than other boards because I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be what we find.
I mean, your deck's going to get hot in the sun.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story, which we've said over and over again, is that, you know, compared to the hottest colors, this is good, but it's mostly color driven. Mm-hmm. This isn't your only option to achieve a 120 degree board when it's really hot out.
Yeah.
There's other options that are testing around that same temperature. So anyways, that's the interesting, or maybe not so interesting thing. I expected Mochaccino to be up there. I expected Whitewash Cedar to be up there. Mm-hmm. Cottage isn't super surprising. I expected the ones that were at the bottom to be at the bottom.
Yep.
Kaya, maybe the exception, but interesting to know. So Precision Construction says, morning gents, probably splitting hairs, but what about heat dissipation? With Vault, when you stand on it, you can feel it getting cooler under your feet. So we did test that. We're not ready to give that information out because we haven't like processed it ourselves and looked at it enough to see if there's a difference. You didn't on the surface really think there was too much of a difference. So what we did is we had the boards outside, we shot the temperatures, we brought them all inside at the same time, like gadgeted them all up really quick, brought them inside into the showroom where the temperature would have been like 20 degrees or like 70 or something. And shot them at a few different intervals then. Is that how you did that?
I shot them as soon as they came in, and then I shot them at 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and 15 minutes.
Okay. So we do have that data to see how fast each board cools. I don't think you did all the boards. You did some like from each type of board.
PVC. I did some, mostly because I noticed that they were all coming down at roughly the same temperature.
Right. So what we were curious about there wasn't as much the brand or the color, it was the type. Mm-hmm. Do PVCs cool off faster than composites? Do mineral-based composites cool off faster than wood-based composites? Right. Is there any sort of correlation there? So we'll have to dig into those numbers and get that information to you, which we will at some point. We just haven't dove into those ones yet. So what else did you want to go through here? Was there any other surprises here by type and temp, straight temp? Let's get this one back.
But for what precision construction is talking about, we did notice though that on our first round of testing, the second the shade hit any of the boards, it was 10 degrees cooler.
Yeah, there was an immediate drop off for all of them, right? Whether it was composite or PVC or anything. Mm-hmm. Sun goes away, it cools off a bit. Really, I think on a clouded day, none of these are going to pose too much danger.
No.
Like it may be hot, but it's really the bright light and rays of the sun that are cooking these things. The ambient temperatures stay reasonable. Mm-hmm. So, and that's where I always question the legitimacy of the test that Moisture Shield does at their trade shows with the red heat lamp. Is that like, I have no idea. It may not be. I just question whether these boards, whether plastic performs differently under ambient heat lamps than it does under the sunlight.
Right.
Because that's the only way I can explain why their tests at these trade shows do show a big difference. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as you put them in the sun, there isn't a big difference. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be something there without it performs that way.
Don't put big red heat lamps on your deck.
Yeah, exactly. And Moisture Shield from now on, I want you to bring the sun to your trade shows
Yep.
in a bottle, point that at your deck board.
Solar
Let's get a real
fire.
test here. Yeah. So interesting. If there's anybody that has questions in the Instagram machine here about the numbers of the tests that we did, put your questions in here now while we kind of go over these a little bit, and then we'll answer it if we can. Do you want to go through like the hottest and darkest from each brand?
Did we organize them by brand, then by average temp, right?
Yes, that's this sheet here that I have in my hand here.
Yeah.
So if we go through by brand, so for Clubhouse, let's start with Clubhouse because it's alphabetical. Clubhouse, we tested the sandstone color, which is a very light color, almost pretty similar to whitewash cedar, maybe a hair darker. And we tested ironwood, which is their darkest one, and that was one of the hottest boards, second hottest board.
Yep.
The difference between Clubhouse's lightest board and Clubhouse's darkest board was 130.4 to 154.9. So a 24.5 degree difference between those two boards. So pretty significant, all based on color again, because they're exactly the same makeup. That's
Exactly.
100% a result of color. Then for decorators, we tested the following colors. We tested Summit. We didn't do any of their wood plastic composites. We only did their mineral-based composites. We did Summit, Tundra, Dusk, Mesquite, Woodland, Kaya, and Dark Slate. And the order I read those in is the order they were in temperature. So the coolest board being Summit, no surprise. It's a super light gray color.
Super.
143. The darkest was Dark Slate, like we talked about, at 157.5. And that was the winner chicken dinner on the hottest board of the day.
So hot.
Fibron, we tested quite a few. And Fibron makes a wood plastic composite and a PVC. Now, all the wood plastic composites we're talking about are capped with the exception of 2 Moisture Shield ones, which I'll reference. Fibron's coolest board, of course, was Cottage because that was one of the coolest ones of the day overall. We also tested Chai. In this order, Chai, Castle Gray, again, light gray, light gray, light gray, Bungalow, dark brown, Warm Sienna, dark brown, or kind of like a yellowy brown, Burnt Umber, dark brown, Rosewood, and then we get into the PVCs. Flagstone, Earl Grey, back to a composite. Shaded K was a new board from Promenade, Weathered Cliff, and Brownstone. Those ones we tested. Brownstone, Cottage, like I said, 124.8. Brownstone, 148.2.
Yeah, and the
24 degree difference again.
And the Promenade stuff wasn't cool. Like the PVC stuff was all generally a little bit hotter.
Yeah, we knew. Yeah, in direct sunlight, there's no difference between PVCs and composites.
No,
they're hot. In fact, PVCs may be a touch hotter. To your point, like they seem. I should rephrase that. The lighter colors of PVCs seem to get hotter than lighter colors of composites, but the dark PVCs are similar to dark composites.
Yeah,
there just doesn't seem to be as much of a gap in colors. Well, I don't know. Clubhouse we just said was a 24 degree difference though. So, but Fibron didn't seem to show that. I don't know. Moisture Shield, we tested Mochaccino Cool Deck, Sandstone. Is that the right name? Cool Deck. I keep questioning that one. Earth Tone, which is an uncapped composite. Cape Cod Gray, which is an uncapped composite. Smoky Gray, which is a non-Cool Deck capped composite. And Cathedral Stone. And Cathedral Stone is the hottest at 141.8. Mochaccino Cool Deck, 119.6. Again, a 22 degree difference. You see a theme here?
yeah.
It's like the lightest and darkest colors from every brand seems to be around a 22 to 24 degree difference.
I wonder if there's any real color science behind that.
Doubtful.
Right?
Doubtful. The hardwood from Moso Bamboo was 133.6. So kind of middle of the road, low to middle of the road temperatures.
For a dark color, though.
It is very, very dark. So I guess that's, yeah. New Tech Wood. Now we tested a bunch of New Tech Wood ones because we tested their light and their dark, and then we tested a bunch of their like crazy colors that nobody else has because they literally have a color that's like the color of this cup here, blue. And so we tested the coolest one is their bright orange one, followed at 129.3. Then their bright blue, bright green. Then their Roman Antique, which is a lighter, like kind of a grayish color.
Yep.
Then they have one that we just called black. It's very dark. And then they have a red, which is very red. And then a Hawaiian charcoal, which is the darkest one that we chose. So it was 144.7.
I'm surprised that because the black one it's black.
Yep. Very. Yeah. So it didn't get as hot as some of the other black, like dark gray ones, right? We got a couple people wondering about the temperatures on the PT. I'll get there. Hold on.
Whoa.
We got that one. Regal, the fiberglass step, we just kind of curious about the quick step, how it performed. 143, so it was middle of the road. Cedar softwood is 120, so it stays the coolest, like one of the coolest. Cedar with a clear oil on it is 121.7, so it only marginally affects the temperature there. But as soon as you add a dark stain, we go up to 126.2. So it actually increases, about 3%? No, more than that, 5%.
Yeah.
By adding a darker stain to it. It wasn't, and it's not a solid stain. We used a clear it's a transparent oil.
It just
so it was just a darker tint.
Yeah.
Treated. People want to know what the Tannatone brown treated is. We're there.
Pressure
125. So amongst the lowers, but actually a little bit warmer than some of the. Well, actually, the top 3 boards, the top 3 composites we showed you were all a little bit cooler than the pressure treated.
Yeah.
So not by much, right? 125 versus...
It's a brown pressure treated, right?
It is a brown pressure treated, yeah. Now, brown treated fades, and it also comes in fairly consistently, non-consistently in color. Sometimes it's got more treatment and whatever, so it could depend on that too. And as it fades, maybe it stays a little bit cooler too because the darkness of the treatment fades out of it. But TimberTech, we tested quite a few as well. Whitewash cedar was the coolest at 119.7, and that was, like I said, the leader, basically tied with Mochaccino, so not surprising it's the first TimberTech one. Then we also tested Tigerwood, Slate Gray Azek, Driftwood from the Reserve line, Stone Ash from Train line, Maritime Gray from Edgeline, Coastline from Azek, Dark Roast from Reserve, Dark Teak from Edgeline, Brown Oak from Train, Dark Hickory from Azek, and Dark Hickory was the hottest at 150.2. So it was nipping at the heels of being one of the hottest as well. About 5 degrees cooler than the hottest of the hot. And then Terex, of course. We tested Foggy Wharf, which was their coolest one at 139.9. So I wouldn't exactly call it cool.
No.
It was kind of about middle of the road on their coolest option. Followed by Pebble Gray, Vintage Lantern, Clamshell, Winchester Gray, and Gravel Path. So Clamshell, Winchester Gray, and Gravel Path are all in the 144s. They're all basically all identical.
Right next to each other.
So that's interesting to me too, because you would think the Gravel Path would be cooler than Winchester Gray, but they're the same.
They're the same.
Now, if we look at the actual highs and lows, Winchester Gray's low is not as low as Gravel Path, but its high didn't get as high as Gravel Path. So it averaged out to about the same. Wolf, like we said, the surprising thing with Wolf was the fact that the lighter cypress color actually came in 0.4 degrees hotter than the Onyx darker color. And like I said, there's something in my mind that says that they did something when they released Onyx because they wanted to combat the fact that not the heat. I think it was more the expansion contraction potentially. So they had done something to it to not absorb as much heat. So maybe it's that it's not that the cypress gets pretty hot too, though, for its color. But it also might be that the Onyx is doing something to stay a little bit less hot as well. So
something else, I don't know exactly if you were thinking about this while you were reading those off, but did you see anywhere like the full thickness boards were higher temperatures than the scallop boards? Because the Fibron Cottage is scallop.
I'd have to stare at this a little bit more. I don't believe that there would be a correlation in that. If anything, there's less board to cool down maybe. Mm-hmm. But in straight temps, I mean, the number 1 and number 2 boards were full thickness until we got to the third board was a scalloped board. But then after you go to that, it's full thickness. And then the NewTek Orange has holes in it. But probably the fact that it was orange was why it reflected as just a bright color. So I don't know that I noticed anything like that. Did you?
No, I didn't notice anything like that.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting.
Somebody's asking if there was a big difference between the cool down between composite and PVC. And so that's something I mentioned we have to dig into a bit more. We have the data. In practice, I believe most people agree that seems to be the case, that PVCs do cool down faster. They dissipate the heat faster. So if a PVC board gets into the shade or it rains, it'll cool off and stay cooler. Whereas the composites, because of that dense core holding the heat, radiates heat a little bit longer. That's what people see and feel.
Potentially.
We have to look at the numbers to see. You didn't really notice that, at least in passing.
No,
as you're shooting the temperatures, they all seem to come down. So, anyway, there's that. Another question was, any tests done on steel? We did not do any tests on steel yet. No. So
wood over concrete.
Yeah, it was, they were sitting on 4x4s on top of a concrete slab. And so there was a 3.5 inch air gap below. We kept about at least a half inch between the boards. We were curious if steel would make a difference. But while we were doing this, we were talking about it. And because the steel is in the shade, because the board is on it, the stuff that's underneath is unlikely to make much of a difference, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because it's not getting the sunlight to warm up in the first place. It's being shaded by the boards that are on top. So I don't think there's going to be a big difference in that, but it's something we'll try to test here as well. But we are going to take this vision board back outside today.
Yep.
Throw it down with a bunch of light colors. The ones that are closest in the showroom. We had about 4 or 5 picked out down there.
Yep.
And we pulled this back upstairs to talk about it. But we'll do that and see with light colors, will it be like, what's the difference? I'm putting money on it that it's not anywhere near 30%.
I don't think it's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sticking to my, I think it's probably 10, maybe 15% at best.
I don't think it's noticeable. That's for sure.
That's the other thing too. At what point does how sensitive is people's skin? Can you tell the difference between 130 and 136? I think probably not.
No.
At least not your feet.
No. Not unless you wear slippers and moisturize the bottoms of your feet all day.
Can you tell the difference between 120 and 157? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You tell that for sure. But I think there's probably somewhere in there, there's likely a number where it's the human foot can only actually register temperature changes in 10 degrees or something Fahrenheit. There's something like that, right? Because a lot of these, we were doing this the whole time. We were testing them too on the ends of the board. So we weren't messing with where you're shooting them, but kind of oh, which one feels hotter? And it's these are, I don't know, these are pretty close, but in reality, when you're shooting them, there's probably there's a difference.
A few degrees, yeah.
But it was the dark ones feel hotter than the cool ones. That's all there was to it. So, Quigley says, Mike, I had my cat do a test on, what is that? I think he's making a joke. Is he making a ha-ha? I had my cat do a test on steel. Didn't work out well. So there you go. Did you find a supplier? Engineering is dragging out for us. I think they're having a conversation, and I don't think that's for us.
Don't think so.
Anything more to add, Bryce?
I don't.
Has this been an interesting episode?
I think we
or
went through,
experiment for you?
I think it was pretty interesting. I'd like to do some relative testing. If we could figure out a way to heat up the boards properly.
What do you mean?
How we'll have 3 people see how long they can stand on the boards.
Oh, I see.
Because it really the temperature, this absolute temperature number doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no, it's just they're all relative to each other. Right?
They get hot in the sun.
I think the interesting stat though that you dug up with that, human skin burns with at least contact with metal can start at 160 Fahrenheit, and there's some boards in here that are flirting with that.
Yeah.
And this was not the hottest day.
Nope.
Right. This is 94. That's a hot day, but if you're in Phoenix, you're experiencing beyond that day in and day out during summer. So if you got dark slate on your deck and it's hitting when it's 94, it's hitting 160 on the high test, right?
Yep.
It's going to average above 160 on 120 degree day, 110 degree day. So yeah, you might have to be careful with some of these. It's a different world in some of these places where it gets brutally hot. So, and maybe that's where some of these guys that are installing this Mochaccino and they're convinced it stays way cooler is because maybe there are markets where the dark stuff just is intolerably hot. You can't use it. Right. Yeah. And this product is you can use it at least. You can walk on it. It's hot, but it's bearable in a way. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe it crosses the fine line of not even usable. Whereas here, other than our hottest days, not much of a concern for a lot of these.
No, I don't think so.
Precision Construction says, hey, Bryce, how about testing the effect of decking color on expansion and contraction? So
that would be cool.
We've talked about doing that one too, because we've had a couple of requests on that. So I've done my own completely not scientific tests on that before in my own backyard, because to our point, I have Clubhouse Ironwood picture framing my deck. And what was it? I had let that board sit in the hot sun when I was installing it one time, a 20-foot board, unfastened, laying just in the grass, getting baked. And I measured it with a tape measure. I moved the board into the shade of my garage, sprayed it down with water before I installed it, because that's one of the tips to installing PVC, to get it to not expand or contract as much, as to cool it down before you install it. So that's kind of shrunk, and it had shrunk 3/8 of an inch.
Just right there
From like baking in the sun to me moving it to my garage and making it cold, spraying it down. It shrunk on 20 feet. It's pretty significant.
Were all the boards that we tested, were they all exactly the same length?
Not if you're measuring with a digital caliper.
Right.
But they were all cut for our showroom at 24 inches. There may have been the odd one that was cut, I don't know, a hair shorter or whatever.
We could see some of that, like how much it's affected right now.
So we can for sure throw some boards out and test them. The trick is like, if we're going to test it, you want to test it on a hot summer day versus a cold winter day. And so that's a test that's going to take some time. We'd have to go throw some boards out today.
Yep.
Or a hot day, measure them, put them in the warehouse, mark them, make sure nobody moves them, and then bring them back out in February, test them again. The reason I don't, his question is interesting though. The reason I didn't think that we really had to necessarily do that is because that information is all available from these guys, from every manufacturer. They tell you their coefficient of expansion contraction on a temperature swing. It's in their documentation, and it's more believable than their claims of 30% cooler. There's no number. There's no like quantitative number behind that. It's just like, it's a percentage of something relative to other things. And they don't even tell you compared against this color. Like, well, what colors are they talking about?
They just blanket all boards in those lines. Is that kind of the?
I guess, I don't know. Like, there's, that's why it's kind of a generalist statement. But his question about the color, I think logic would say, yeah, there'd be a difference. If the board gets hotter, it will expand more. It gets hotter because it's darker.
Right.
So a Clubhouse Ironwood board versus a Clubhouse Sandstone board, the Ironwood board should grow longer.
Slightly.
And we know this, I have in the field data or events that would for sure be correlated to that, because we've had some warranty issues with Clubhouse Ironwood boards cracking where the screws are, and it's always Ironwood.
Due to expansion, you think?
Because it moves more.
Expansion and contraction.
Because of its dark color, it moves more.
That would make a whole lot of sense.
Having any calls from Brookstone? There's a lot of Brookstone out there, which is lighter color. Driftwood, Hickory, those lighter colors don't seem to have callbacks, but we run into the odd time where a board breaks and they don't even have to tell us what color it is. We know it's going to be Ironwood.
It makes sense because in concrete, right? Generally, your like straight concrete doesn't like crack under expansion where your tards and stuff would, right? There's always crews going up and down the highway in Saskatchewan, and all they do is tar it, right?
Right.
And it cracks and expands. Asphalt.
Yeah. So I think like without testing that, I can be certain that there probably is a difference. We may have to test that. Maybe we just do it on a shorter board or something. We can find some 4-foot boards out in the yard to be a little bit more manageable to hawk around for a couple of months before we can test the cold end of that. But
well, I wonder if we like baked them to see. No, I guess that wouldn't do anything.
Are you meaning baking, like actually heat them up?
Like heating them up, but it like color wouldn't affect that then, because you're physically heating the board up.
Right. Yeah. Yep. You're right.
Because I was like, that would be a great idea. And then I was like, nope, that'd be a dumb idea.
Right. It wouldn't be accurate. Kind of like a heat lamp.
Yeah. Kind of like a heat lamp.
Okay. Anything else, Bryce?
No,
nothing today. We're going to end this Dog and Pony show. Thanks everybody for tuning in and pitching back some feedback and questions there through the Instagram Live. Appreciate that. We will be posting tidbits this. So keep an eye. If you're not subscribed to us on Instagram, that's usually where stuff shows up first. And we'll try to get some of these results posted there in a legible format. Like just posting a PDF like this on there is not going to help anybody. But I think we can probably break this down into, by brand or by type or by whatever, and at least display that to show some of the high level insights that came out of this.
Yeah, I think so. Make some nice graphics.
Yeah. Some nice graphics. Oh boy, we got some, here we go. How is Wade doing at the arm wrestling tournament? I don't know that I like his chances up against JJ, to be honest. He's on vacation right now with his wife. And so I don't know if they're doing any arm wrestling or if that's a euphemism for something else.
Wade's not here to make that euphemism.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We should maybe make a video. We could maybe make a video of this stuff too, maybe even someday.
Maybe.
So
maybe we will.
go in that camel lever. See you next week.
You've been listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Ultimate Deck Podcast. Brought to you by the Ultimate Deck Shop. Shop with us at www.ultimatedeckshop.com or check us out at all the social networks we can keep up with. Hit us up for any collaboration or sponsorship opportunities. Thanks for listening.